Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Mighty Ducks Game Changers Season 2. So I finally watched this season, and now I know why it got canceled. Is it a bad season? No, you can watch it and you can enjoy yourself. It's a fun, teen comedy drama. However, you won't be able to watch it ever again because Disney Plus is getting rid of it by the end of today. So that's why I had to reactivate my Disney Plus thing and watch this and watch the Mystery Benedict Society, and because they're getting rid of these things forever and ever. So they don't have to pay residuals to the stars, the writers, the directors, all those people, the creators, because they are trying to save money because they are, they're buying out too many companies and they are in somewhat of debt. Because they bought out Fox, they bought out Hulu, and I think Discovery as well. Maybe ESPN. I'm not really sure about that, but I do know they bundle with them. And so because of that, they're taking on debt and they're looking for ways to save money. And so, but yeah, I got through watching this because I watched the first 2 episodes last year before my Disney Plus ran out. And so I finally watched it now. And I was always wondering, why exactly did the show get canceled? It gets rave reviews. But then as I was watching the first 2 episodes of this season last year, I'm just kind of like, I'm getting a weird kind of vibe. Now, originally, I said that it had vibes of the second Mighty Ducks movie. Because it did. But when you watch the entire season, you quickly realize it actually takes inspiration more from the third Mighty Ducks movie with sprinkles of the second one. And the third movie, a lot of fans do not like. It was too different. And when you watch it as you're an older person now, you're like, all right, the third movie isn't that bad, but it's not what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? It lost the sense of the hockey fun. And that's what this season did. It lost that sense of fun with the hockey stuff. In fact, they barely play hockey this season. They don't really officially start practicing and playing hockey until the 7th episode. And there are 10 in total. And so for the most part, it's just teenage high school hijinks and everything, drama and everything. Love relationships, gambling away people's stuff, being insecure, and stuff like that. And that's not what people want to see when they watch Mighty Ducks. Now, the question I've been wondering, who exactly is this targeted for, this show? Who is the demographic? Now, of course, it's here to bring in the older people like myself who watch the movies, but it's also here to bring in younger people. However, when watching this show this season, you will realize there's a little bit of adult humor here and there. One of the coaches talking about, well, I'm just looking for a hookup. I'm like, what? Then when the mom coach was going to go on a date, the lady tells her, wear a different bra. What? There's also something else, and I think a few cuss words, and I'm just kind of like, that don't sound very Disney. So who exactly is this targeted for? So parents who have their young kids watching this and hear stuff like that are probably going to be outraged. However, when it does come to this show, I've always had a hard time getting into it because, like I told you in the first season, it took me a good while to get into it because I didn't quite understand it and I didn't quite like it. And so after they started getting more into the hockey stuff in the second half of the first season, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel it. So I was really starting to feel this season. However, one thing I've noticed, the biggest downside of this season is that nothing feels earned. Everything is just given to these new kids and you can't sink your teeth in it. You feel like, well, why should you deserve to have the name the Mighty Ducks when you don't love the actual spirit of it? You don't feel it. You don't feel the quackiness of it. When you watch the movies, you know for a fact those kids loved being a mighty duck. It meant something to them. Having that mantle meant something to them. Here, it's just an ordinary other thing. Now, I still don't understand why they were even given the name the Mighty Ducks. I mean, in the first season, they were the Don't Bothers. That's who they should have been throughout the entire series. But then at the end of the first season, they did that stupid thing where they played like an underground hockey game and they got the mantle of the Mighty Ducks. And it never felt earned. Well, it felt a little earned because they actually practiced and all the other stuff. But here in this season, nothing ever feels earned. When you watch the hockey games, you don't feel like you're actually watching a real hockey game and stuff. And that's the real downside. The Mighty Ducks movies is what got me into liking hockey and everything. Like, I love hockey to death. When you will watch those older movies, you really felt like they was playing hockey. Even though, yeah, of course, there was a lot of stunt doubles, but you still felt it. You still felt it when they scored and everything, when they slapped the puck. Here, you don't feel nothing really, because nothing has ever been earned. And towards the end, like, they got new jerseys again and everything because, you know, they're at summer camp, so they have to wear those. But then when they have to split off and make their own teams, here's the problem. All of the people, all the coaches, they give their teams names that you wouldn't think of. The Dominators, the Inspiration, the Heartthrobs, the influencers, the resilient ones, you know, like emotional personality trait type names. But then Alex and everything, the coach, the mom coach, she decides to give them, with a big smile on her face, the Mighty Ducks, which goes against all the other names they're giving. But when she did that, it doesn't feel like it's earned. Like when the second movie, you know, because they was Team USA in the second movie. Throughout the entire movie, they was Team USA. Towards the end, they became the Mighty Ducks again. And you felt it. There was a big inspirational speech when it came to them becoming the Mighty Ducks again. There was no inspirational speech here. And then, so they get their new uniforms that were different from last season, and they're slightly okay. They're more green with purple, like, shoulder parts to them. I still like the purple jerseys more. And so, but then towards the end of the season, they get brand new jerseys. And when they get those new jerseys, you don't feel nothing. They're just given to them. They're like, here's your new jersey and everything. When they got new jerseys in the second movie, there was a big inspirational speech by Han. And you don't get that here. So it feels hollow. It just feels like something is given to them. And it literally is. And the new jerseys are basically the same jersey from the second movie, just a different color pattern. Instead of purple and green stripes, because they're all white, purple and green stripes. Now it's orange and black stripes. And there's a reason they're orange and black. Okay, this is what's so weird. This entire season, they're at summer camp, right? And while they're at summer camp, I'm trying to think how I'm going to start this off. Because it's like, okay. The season just really bugged me a lot, man. Okay, so they're at summer camp and they have to learn how to play hockey. So because Gordon Bombay, the actor, Emilio Estevez, left the show because rumor is he refused to get vaccinated. Seriously, man, you're around kids, get vaccinated. He caught COVID in the first season. He's all like, well, I isolated myself for 2 weeks. Well, you know what? They have to shut down production for 2 weeks and everything. They can't film his scenes for 2 weeks. So he brought this crap on himself, and it helped ruin the season because a lot of people wanted to see him and stuff, right? And so he's not there. They got a new coach, and the new coach is very similar to the new coach in the third movie. He is a prick. He is a drill sergeant. He is mean. He is rude. He's very domineering. So, of course, you would assume the kids would have a problem with him. No, they get along with him very fine because they rarely interact with him. Guess who has the problem with him? the mom. Oh, I'm gonna get into the mom towards later on, because I've said this before in the first season. She is ruining this show because there's too much of her in it, and there's a reason for that. I'll get into that later. So, all the kids have personality traits that made them special in the first season. A good number of those personality traits don't even show up again this season. And I mean at all. And I mean at all. It's like they're brand new kids. Now, I understand character development, but you don't do character regression and everything. You don't pull back on who made them them. And not only that, but a lot of these kids don't even get a story arc really to themselves. Evan, of course, gets the biggest because, he is the main star. He's the Charlie of the thing. So Evan has the most character development. Basically, his mom is still being mushy to him and won't let him do any of the daring stuff. He wants to be the best he can be at this camp. He wants to be on the best team, but he's having problems with Sophie, and they break up. And so I forget why they break up. I don't remember them breaking up, but they break up. And so he is bothered by that, but not really. And so, him and Evan don't hang out as much. He gets recruited, he gets drafted to the other team, which is supposed to be the evil team of the season, you know what I'm saying? With all the mean kids. But here's the thing about that, how there's always that rival team? Well, the rival team here don't act really mean. They're aggressive and they work out, but there's only one hothead, and he's kind of a recurring character. And so he's just a dude who likes to work out all the time, and he's a little rude and stuff like that. But then sometimes he acts a little nice, so it's a little confusing. Is he rude? Is he nice? What exactly is he? You know what I'm saying? He's just a meathead. And so the rival team, you don't really get no main characters from them. There's one girl who says one thing and that's it. But, Evan gets drafted to their team because his mom did not draft him because they were having problems and stuff. Because she keeps cuddling him too much. And she's too afraid that he'll get hurt. Well, when he's on the other team, he wants to be on his team, but he can't. And so he wants to be the best he can be. But he misses Nick's birthday party, which causes a little friction between them two. That's another thing that I still have a problem with. Every time something bad happens in this show, and it's a big dramatic moment, a story arc moment, it gets resolved at the end of the episode, and it gets resolved in the most half-handed kind of way. It's just like a toss up in the air. It's okay, everything's better. And it's well, there was no resolve to that. You didn't have no resolution to the problem that y'all had other than being hey, let's just be friends again. All right, cool, fine, whatever. And that's how it always is with this show. And that's how it was in last season. They don't tell good, compelling stories. If you're going to have a compelling story arc, then you need to have a compelling ending. And this show does not do that. And so he has to prove that, he wants to be the captain, this and that. He doesn't prove by being captain by playing hockey, because they really don't play hockey for the first 7 episodes. So he gets into an ice bath challenge type thing, and he wins. And so then his mom wants to redraft him back to their team, but then he has a problem with that. Now, he's the one with the most character development. The second person with the most character development is the son of the coach, Jace. Jace is the bad boy. Speaking of bad boys, I'll get into them later. He is the bad boy of the show. At first, he starts off by not wanting to play hockey, and his dad keeps forcing him to. So he's not really a bad boy there. But then once he actually starts being forced to play hockey, he is a prick throughout the entire season. He is very rude, very mean, and you don't want to root for him whatsoever. But he has a fear when it comes to hockey. He does not want to shoot because something's wrong with him, and he doesn't want to shoot the puck and everything. Why? You don't find out until the 8th episode. It turns out that while playing a year ago, he scored on his team by mistake. How in the world you made that big a mistake? And that reminded me of Full House when Michelle scored on her team in soccer. They took a 30-year-old line storyline and put it in their show. I get it. Nobody's really done that since then, but if you have a memory like mine, you will remember. And so because of that, he's been embarrassed to like shoot. And because of that, he has a glitch. He refuses to shoot. And whenever he does shoot, he can't shoot straight. And so that's a real problem for him. But you don't find that out until much later in the season. And so one of the people he befriends is Sophie. She's trying to be nice to him because she sees he's a loner, but he wants nothing to do with her. Somehow they bond out of nowhere and they kiss and they start dating, which causes problems with Evan. And so and it came out of nowhere. These two liked each other and stuff. It didn't feel earned. And so he's mad at his dad because his dad keeps trying to force hockey on him. And he finally tells his dad the reason why he hates hockey. It's not so much just because he scored on his own team, but it's because his dad didn't say nothing to him throughout the entire ride back home. And so he's been holding that against his father. He feels like his father's ashamed of him. Turns out his father was just more upset at himself for, and all this other stuff. And so because of that, Jace gets the most character development of them all. Now, out of the rest of the characters and stuff. And he is the new character, of course. Now, Sophie gets probably like the tied at third with the most character development when it comes to the kids and the kids only. There's a reason why I said that. Is because Sophie, in the first season, she was like really good at playing hockey. Everybody wanted her on their team. And her parents wanted her to study very well, and she just wanted to play hockey. And so her parents wanted her to be smart. She wanted to play hockey. So that was her thing then. This season, they decided to basically just put her in a love triangle. And so which is really insulting. Because I hate when they do that. It's like when they don't have a story for somebody, they just put them in a love triangle or something like that. Or a love storyline. And so her parents are the only ones that sent her a book for like a care package instead of candy, right? And so because of that, she's all like, oh, they just want me to like do good and get into a good college, blah, 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 blah. So you never see her study or nothing like that. But then one episode, apparently she did it off screen. And everybody's all like, you need to have more fun and blah, 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 blah. So then she decides to be daring. She decided to dress like, not provocative, but cutesy wootsy and flip her hair back, trying to get guys' attention because she's single now. And that's when the other girl tells her, you're making a fool of yourself and this and that. And that's basically her entire story arc, the entire season. We don't get to see her being very good at being like a hockey player like she was obsessed about last season. And it felt like that was stripped away from her just to make her into like a girly girl. Nick is tied with Sophie in terms of character development and having the most is because he starts off being insecure. See, that camp they're at is like a military type thing. And they really push you to your limit. And so the problem with that is that because he's a little slightly overweight. Now, the goalie's more overweight than he is, but he's feeling insecure. He can't run as fast as people. He can't do as many push-ups and this and that. And he's tired of it. They have these Fitbit trackers on them that track their steps and all this other stuff. And he is at the very bottom. And so with him feeling so insecure, he just takes off running and goes to like a diner or something like that. He wants to go home. He doesn't want to be there no more. And so in reality, because he took off running, he does have the courage and the tenacity to keep up with the other students and show that he is just as dedicated and stuff. And the mom coach helps him figure that out. He actually has more scenes with the mom than he does Evan. And so because of that, that storyline gets like completely dropped. And then he's just a character that just appears in the show. And he helps out the mom and stuff. Then towards the end, out of nowhere, the other girl on his team has a huge crush on him. And he's all like, look, I will dump Allison from last season in a heartbeat just for you. That is messed up to say and everything. And all because he wants her. But then nothing ever happens between those two. Then in the very end, they have to go up against a Canadian team with the coach of last season. So this is what happens. He ends up injured. His foot is injured. you assume he's faking it because he doesn't want to play that old coach because he's intimidated. So this would bring you back to his story arc in the first episode only. But no, he's really legit injured and stuff. And that was a missed opportunity writing wise. And so then he's put in the the commentary box where he gets to do the commentary because the real commentator is choking on popcorn, so he has to fill in, which is a nod to what he did in the first season with the commentary stuff. Other than that, he's just there for comedic relief and everything. Now, people like Logan and Lauren, they are no longer on the show. They got written off. Logan, they don't explain what happened to him. Lauren went to go do the, Chucky TV series. So she's not in it. And so, like, there was also 2 other players from last season that showed up towards the end, but nobody ever thinks about them, and they're not on the show. So you have Maya Knobs and what is the black dude? Sam. And they have no story arc whatsoever really in this show. They have to share a solo episode. Their solo episode is that they start gambling away the kids' candy, basically to get the care package full of candy, and they start gambling. They bet on like themselves or something like that. They think, because there's a competition where the kids supposed to go up against the coaches in the hockey game, and so the coaches end up winning. So now they're screwed because they ate everybody's candy and all the kids are looking to lynch them and everything. So what happens? They think about, okay, let's jump out the window and just go to Costa Rica and everything. And so, but then all of a sudden Nick comes in. He's all like, look, I got tons of candy. This is enough to pay everybody off. And I'm just like, that's it? Like, that's how you resolve that storyline? He just gives them the candy and that's it? And his box of candy isn't a mountain of candy like they had. And that's it. That's all they basically do. Now, they do have tiny side plots that are stupid. Basically, Knobs, his roommate, is like a meathead who works out all the time. And that's all we ever hear of that. Then, when it comes to Maya and stuff, she apparently is a feminist, but we don't get to see none of that. And she's just boy crazy. Every week, or I should say this, every episode, she has a new boyfriend. She is boy crazy. Then out of the blue, she's madly in love with Nick and has said, oh, I've always had a mad crush on you and all this other stuff. And it's just like, where did that come from? Because they've never had a scene together. This entire season, they've never had not one scene together where they speak to each other except for that time. In the first season, I don't even think they interacted with each other. So where in the world did this come? Like, who is writing this crap? And as for Sam, well, we all know in season 1, he had no story arc. He was just a kid who you dare to do something and he'll do it. This season, he's literally just there. And I mean just there. So once again, they let him down. But oh, no, wait. They gave him a partner this season. See, there are 4 new recurring kids. One is the meathead, who is Knobs' roommate, and he has a brother. I don't know the brother's name. I don't really care. So whatever, the show. He shows up around the 7th episode. In fact, so does the new girl. And so the brother, his thing is that he is invisible. People just can't see him. People don't acknowledge him. Now, he's not really invisible, but you know what I'm saying, like the metaphor, like nobody pays attention to him. So in hockey, they decided, okay, for you to score, use your body to score. So he uses his head, his arms, his feet, his butt, his stomach. That is illegal. You can't do that in hockey. You have to use your stick. If it's a high puck, then you can use your hand to navigate it back down to the ice, but then you have to use your stick. You can only score with your stick. This is totally illegal. So if the kids watch this and learn how to play hockey, they're not going to learn nothing. Not only that, but if you get hit with a puck, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, and you're gonna be at least sent to like the medic, or you're gonna be put on the bench because it's gonna hurt a lot. So for him to constantly get hit with the puck is stupid. And he doesn't even interact with his brother that much. You don't even find out they're brothers until he shows up finally towards the 7th episode. Then there is the girl. She is partnered with Sam. She likes to talk and ramble a lot. That is her thing. And what's so funny is that she actually has more dialogue to say than Sam in the entire season. Like, she talks more than he does. She talks more than like Knobs and Maya does. And she's brand new to the show, and she literally shows up in the 7th episode. And not only that, but like, because she likes to do daring stuff too, they partner her with Sam. And so the coach is all like, all right, we used to have the Smash Brothers, now you're the Smash Siblings. She just gives them that title, and now they start checking the crap out of people. But the way they check people in the movies is totally illegal. Now, that's how it was in the movies too, but you know, that's just for effect. But it's like, she just gave them that title. They never decided they was going to be the Smash Siblings. See, the Smash Brothers, they decided to be that themselves because they both didn't like each other at first. But then when they play hockey, they would check the crap out of their opponent. And then so like the commentator dude gave them the name Smash Brothers, and they went with that, but they always established that that's who they were. Here, the coach just gives them that title, and it just does not feel earned at all and stuff. But then her and him, like, they don't have like a relationship, but they have like a huge bond where she's all like, come and visit me in Alaska because I have no friends and blah 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 and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, she's a cool character, but it's just like she has more time to talk than the other characters on the show. Speaking of the Smash Brothers, they are the only ones who make a cameo this season. They are in the first episode. They're construction workers who repaired the Ice Palace and stuff. And speaking of cameos, Kenan Thompson was supposed to show up this season. For whatever reason, he did not. But this is how they decided to have him in the show. So when the mom coach, who's not coaching them at all, by the way, because she don't know what she's doing, so why is she even a coach? And so she takes them to meet the real Anaheim Ducks and everything. Now remember, the Anaheim Ducks were created because of the Mighty Ducks movie. And so like, but the coach is not there, and none of the players except for 3. So the guy is giving them a tour around, and he's talking about how like just ordinary kids became some of the greatest hockey players ever, you know what I'm saying, for their hometown, talking about the original Mighty Ducks. And so he's like, even one created a move all on his own called the knuckle puck. And they have the original knuckle puck, I'm assuming, but that's not the original puck that they use. The original hockey puck was a field hockey puck. It was red with little wheels on it and stuff. And here they just have some weird beige peachy looking thing. And they all like, this dude literally put the puck on his side and he slapped it and everything, and he will win like goals and all this other stuff. And you see a picture of Tyler, Kenan's character, a picture frame, and that is it. That is his cameo, a picture frame. And then, so now they teach the move to the newer players, and Sophie gets to use it. But when they use the knuckle puck, it doesn't have the same special effect that it did in the movie. It doesn't spiral as it's going. It just like kind of moves in a Matrix kind of style. Not slow motion, but like it's like weaving and bobbing around the air. And it's just like, how? That's not the effect that it's supposed to have. So now you got other people using his move that he did not teach them himself. And I'm just like, what kind of cameo is that? Now, as for the new adults, they barely pop in and out the show. The 2 on the end, they weave in and out the show. You barely know they're there. As for the one on the left, Stephanie Weir, she's the comedian from Mad TV, and she was really good in this show. She didn't have that much screen time. She's perfect in this. Her comedic timing was perfect. She was enjoyable. She was the assistant to the head coach dude, and not only that, but she didn't take up too much screen time, which was perfect. That's how you do it, because it's supposed to be about the kids and technically the coach, but not all about the coach. Now, before I get into the coach, let me get into why they changed their uniforms at the end. Evan and Jace had a huge fight over Sophie, like a food fight where everybody jumped in. Basically, they got in each other's face, then their friends got in each other's face, and then they just had a huge fight. And they had two of them, to the point where they decided, you know what, we're just not even going to compete against each other because they were supposed to. And so the coaches were like, where the kids at? And so the moms were like, oh, I think I know. I don't know how she thinks she knows, but she knows somehow. And all the kids decided, you know what, we're going to go out to the lake and have a beach day. And they do that in the 9th episode. There's only 10 episodes a season. And so they didn't face each other in the big playoff thing. But there's this Canadian team that wants to fight them and everything. And so they're all like, well, we don't have a winning team. So what are we going to do? And so Evan decides we're going to combine teams. And they're like, no, you can't do that. You'll be one super team and they'll be one tiny team. But of course, this is Disney Plus, so they get to do whatever they want. And as a kid's show, they get to do whatever they want. So they combine both teams. It makes no sense because the rival team, we don't know nothing about those players. They're literally background players. We only know the meathead guy, and this one girl gets to say one thing, and that's literally it. Other than that, we don't know none of their motivation and stuff. None of their personalities. Nothing about them. But they join one giant team. And so they match the colors of both uniforms. And that's why now you have the new color pattern of the Mighty Ducks towards the end. And once again, it was not earned. Why? Because these two teams only fought against each other once in the entire show when it came to hockey. And the rival team, they basically cheated so that the other team will win because they felt sorry for them. So then they all like, no, play us for real. So then, of course, the Mighty Ducks lost and everything. Nothing was earned at all. And so they go up against the Canadian team who the coach of last season was. And he's still pissed about losing the name the Mighty Ducks and everything. And he has some pretty funny moments talking about how he had a temper tantrum. And that's why he had to move to Canada because he got kicked out and everything, playing hockey in America. And he's tired of being in Canada. And so he really wants to destroy the Mighty Ducks. And so you think at the end, they will have this huge rivalry. The teams will be fighting each other, this and that. But it's really nothing like that, like in the movies. Now let me get into the biggest problem this show has. And it's the same problem this show has had since season 1. And that is the mom. I feel bad saying that because the actress is a great actress. She is legendary. She's a great TV actress. But she overstepped her place in this show. She is an executive producer of the show. She was an executive producer of the first season. This is probably why so much stuff revolves around her. It felt like the first season revolved around nothing but her. And it's the same thing here. She has the most to do on the show. She has the most screen time. She has the most character development out of everybody on the show. I get it. The coach is supposed to be a big part of the Mighty Ducks franchise, but it's supposed to be split. You're supposed to split the time between the coach and that of the kids. The coach is supposed to be compelling because of something that happened in the movies that causes them to be a big part. Here is nothing like that. She is literally just being a mom. She's cuddling them. She's scared they're gonna get hurt, and that's what she does the entire season. Not to mention, she does not know how to play hockey still. And she shows that every time because she keeps asking, what's a draft? What's this? What's that? But yet she's supposed to bring these kids to victory and stuff. And she only lets them practice, we see on screen one time when they're outside running around, goofing around. That is literally it. And so because of that, they're getting their butts kicked and everything. And her and the male coach are not getting along. They literally cannot get along the entire season. Now, when it comes to the male coach, he's very inconsistent. He's really mean and rude one moment. Then in one episode, he's nice and fluffy. And that doesn't make no sense. And so, because of that, it's very, very, very inconsistent. Somehow, towards the middle when they're fussing, they have a huge like bonding moment, and they just start kissing and making out. But it's like, when did this come out? Because these two literally can't stand each other and stuff. And it's so odd and weird because they literally fought the entire season, and now all of a sudden they're kissing and stuff. But they still can't get along, but then every once in a while they do. And so, like, because of that, their sons don't get along as well. And then the craziest thing happens. When they have to fight the Canadian team, the dad coach literally says, "You know what? I'm just gonna sit this out. I'm gonna be a dad in the bleachers, and you're gonna coach them to victory in the big final game." And it's kind of like, wait, what? Even she's kind of saying that too. And it's like, why is she the one coaching them in the big final game? And she literally has no idea what she is doing. And it shows because, but then somehow the Ducks are winning somehow. But how? They have no training and stuff. And this don't make no sense in the entire storyline of the show. She literally has no idea what she's doing. Now, this is supposed to be a nod to the second movie. In the second movie, Gordon Bombay is too much of a showboat, and he's living up that rich lifestyle. And their tutor, has to fill in and be a coach, but she has no idea what she's doing, and Charlie has to help her. There is significance. There is meaning. There is a build-up. Here, it's just because she's the executive producer and everything. And she hogs so much screen time. And I hate saying this because I don't want to rag on her because she's such a good actress and I like her. But she helped ruin this show and everything. It is literally her show. She even has another love interest in the show. First it was Gordon Bombay in the last season, and now it's this one. And even when the Ducks are losing and everything, the dad's all like, I want to be a dad, but I don't want to coach. But you might want to do this and you might want to do that. She's like, okay, and just like in a dopey kind of way, and they just keep on playing. She doesn't give them maneuvers to do or this and that. And one thing that's interesting is that the coach, the Canadian coach, he decides to do the flying V. Now, this entire season, there has been no special significant moves that the Mighty Ducks have done themselves other than the knuckle puck. That only happened in one episode. They don't even do the flying V. That is a staple of the Mighty Ducks movie. It's the dumbest move ever, but it's for the movie, so you get it. And never once do they ever do that here because they don't feel like the Mighty Ducks. And the Canadian team did it. And when the Canadian team did it, the Mighty Ducks didn't even know how to counter it. All you do is check them. It's the dumbest move ever, and all you have to do is run into them, and it would knock out their flying V. And so she gets mad at him, talking about, you stole that from us. He's all like, you don't have claim over the alphabet. And I'm like, that's the only skirmish they had with that whole thing. And it's just like, she had no maneuvers, she had no plan, she had no nothing and everything. So why in the world was she the central coach of the last game? And why was she the coach of the entire season and stuff? It literally makes no sense whatsoever. And so, yeah, I now see why this show got canceled and everything. While the first season had its hiccups, it was still very enjoyable for a hockey show. In this season, you don't even know they're playing hockey until the 7th episode. Yeah, they play hockey, they practice for 2 times in 2 episodes, but it's very brief. And when they finally do start playing, you don't feel it. You don't feel like they're playing hockey and stuff. And this show is supposed to be about kids playing hockey. First and foremost, yeah, they're supposed to have their hijinks just like they do in the movies, but they're supposed to balance that out with them always playing hockey. These are supposed to be kids that supposed to love playing hockey and everything, but these kids were just brought into the mix in the first season who didn't even like hockey, and it shows in the second season. For whatever reason, the goalie, Knobs, he decided he wants to score a goal. Why? He's a goalie. He's not supposed to do that. He doesn't know how to, he's not supposed to properly know how to skate. He's not supposed to properly know how to shoot, but they let him and he scored. Why did this happen? Because it happened in the second movie. In the second movie, Iceland was kicking their butt, or Greenland, one of those two. And so they needed a way to counteract their offense and everything, and stuff like that. And so they decided, okay, we're gonna trick them. We're gonna have Goldberg pretend to be Russ, because they keep jumping on Russ, who does the knuckle puck. And so they have Goldberg, pretend to be like, Russ and everything. So they're all going after him, and nobody's paying attention to the goalie because he's the goalie. Then all of a sudden, the goalie comes up from the goal, takes off his helmet, and it's really Russ. And then he knuckle pucks it into the goal and everything. And that was like a big thing, you know what I'm saying? Because they deceived the other team. Here it's just like, oh, I want to make a shot. So they let him make a shot. But there's nothing earned. Nothing is built up. And that's the problem with this show. It wanted to be more of a teen comedy drama than a hockey show. So with that said, the show got canceled. With that said, Disney Plus decided, we're just gonna pull this show from our streaming site, which means not that many people must have watched the second season, because the thing is, they never show their ratings and their viewership. But we know that a lot of shows get canceled because they don't get that much views. And this show must have been very, very low to where, they can pull it and everything. Because nobody really talks about this show. I think I'm the only person online who talks about this show on YouTube and everything. And it's disappointing because I love the Mighty Ducks. And they only brought this show out, just so they can keep the IP and make older people like me come back and watch it. But it never, ever felt the same. It always felt hollow and everything. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.